Welcome. My name is Shay, and if you're new here, I help skinny gamers and anime fans gain the first pound of muscle that they'll ever want and the last pound of muscle that they'll ever want. Okay, now before we get into the video, I appreciate you for clicking on this video instead of any other dopaminergic BS on the internet. That's how I know you're committed to your success and how you'll succeed in your fitness goals, all right? As long as you listen all the way through. Anyway, in this video, I wanted to talk about how you can track your calories. Now, I know as soon as I said that, a lot of you are mentally sighing and thinking, bro, is there any other way to do this that, doesn't require a lot of energy or a lot of time, and it's just like I don't want to do it. I feel like I'll lose love over my life if I just like track calories, and I won't be able to eat with friends, stuff like that, like all these worries. And I'll give you a system and a framework that I use specifically for bulking as well, that really helped me, and this works very well with bulking. Okay. And this allowed me to be able to eat out without feeling like guilty about it. This allowed me to, you know eat pretty much whatever I wanted without feeling like I had to really track anything at all, right? And so, yeah, let's get into it, right? And before we get right into the topic, I just want to say I'm not trying to sell you anything. There's a link in the description to a free community of people who are also gamers and anime fans, just like you, who are trying to be serious about their fitness. Because I know, like, younger me would have wanted this because, you know, it gets lonely out there. It's kind of difficult to stay consistent and stay on top of something when you don't have a sense of community to go along with that. So I created that community just so we have people who are serious about their fitness but also want to enjoy some, you know anime, and get to know other people and want to enjoy some video games, right? So check that out, completely free, link in the description. And yeah, let's get started, right? So the first thing is, okay, let me get out this expectation within your mind that you're not going to have to track. Okay, that is just false, and I know that's going to make you click off the video, but it's like, I just want to keep it realistic with you. Okay, because you need to know why you're tracking to begin with, to know that there's no out of it, right? There's no easy way out of this. Why do you need to track? It's because you need to know the objective numbers. Now, a lot of you think, well, that's an issue, but I don't think so. I think you can reframe your mind to think that the reason this isn't an issue is because instead of being emotional about my eating, I can now be more objective. I can now go more off the facts, right? And so if you go off the facts, you can't really stray away, really. Um, Whereas you go off your emotion, you'll end up eating all the time, or, eating stuff without knowing, like, oh, this is really filling, but it has no calories, so that's probably why I'm not gaining weight. I think I'm eating a lot, but I'm not. You're probably right too. You're probably eating a lot. The problem is that you're eating a lot of the stuff that isn't actually calorically dense, which is a fancy way of saying it doesn't have a lot of calories in it. Okay, that's literally it, and that's kind of the thing that you have to make your best friend. Calories are going to be your best friend. Okay, now, calories in and calories out is like really oversimplified, and for those of you who don't know how that works, let me explain how this works, right? So on a basic level, it's just taking your activity level, right? Which is like any sort of exercise that you currently do, any walking you do, any twitching you do. I know I twitch a lot, like I move around my legs a lot. Everything you do burns calories, or in other words, burns energy, right? So to kind of fuel yourself up, you need that food for energy, right? Food is our energy, right? Now, how do you bulk specifically, right? Okay, you consume more energy than you burn. That is how you bulk, okay? And so that means you need more calories inside your body than you are burning, okay? So we have terms, for example, let me go over a common term, which is like uh, caloric maintenance. Sorry, there was like a bee flying around and stuff. I'm like, I might get stung. But anyway, there's a term called caloric maintenance, which is a fancy way of saying those are the calories that you eat to maintain the weight that you're at. So let's say you're at 140. I don't know how many calories would roughly be at 140, but I want to say, like, for a lot of you who are trying to bulk, it's going to be around like 2,500. I'm not saying that's exactly how it is. I'll teach you how to calculate your specific one, like later in the video. But that's roughly, like, I would say, like, if I had to estimate my own, it'd be like 2,500. So that's the amount of calories I need to maintain my weight. Now, how do I bulk? Okay, add 300 to 500 on top of that. So let's say my maintenance, which is, again, let me repeat that again, right? The amount of calories I eat in a day to maintain my weight, to stay the same weight. Let's say it is 2,500. To gain weight, I will need to add 3 to 500, so that, and the reason you don't add more than that is because you don't want to gain fat, okay? You add 3 to 500 so you can gain muscle at an optimal level and build up your strength, which is going to cause you to build up your muscle, because then, like, if you're lifting heavier weights, your muscle is going to break down, like micro tears in your muscles are going to happen. And then with protein and sleep, they're going to recover. Okay, keep it to the basics. You don't need to overcomplicate this, right? And so now the question becomes, okay, Shay, I understand what I need to do now. I take my maintenance and add 3 to 500 on top of it. Okay, cool. Now, the problem is, um, how do I get over my limiting beliefs on that? What kind of foods do I eat? And how do I even track that to begin with? Okay, cool. Now, I want you to write this down for me, steps, because I don't want you to click off the video just yet. You're going to take this actionable step, okay? And this actionable step is very, very simple. What I'm going to want you to do is go onto the internet. So write that down. Step one, go to the internet. Step two, in the search bar, I want you to type in caloriecalculator.net, or just calorie calculator, okay? And then that's step two. Now, step three, I want you to click on it, okay? And I'm giving you very simplified baby steps because this is what I would have needed, okay? So you click on the website that says caloriecalculator.net, I think is like the first one that comes up. Click that, boom. All you have to do is enter, I think, your age, your gender, I know, right? Hella controversial. And then your weight, and what else? Your height, okay? And it'll give you a rough estimate of your caloric maintenance. Now, when you enter it in, when you press enter and it gives you the calculation, there are going to be a bunch of numbers. All I want you to do is look at caloric maintenance. There's one that should say caloric maintenance, and you'll see it like right there, and you'll see the number. It is probably around something like 2,000 something. I'm just taking a guess, okay, wild guess, because for women and for men, it's going to be a little bit different, okay. But that's what I'm guessing it's going to be around. Now, I want you to take that number and literally go to the calculator and add 3 to 500 to that. It could be anything. 300, 500. Ideally, I would start with 300. Okay, if you had to choose a number, if you're indecisive and you're like really, really nitpicky about this, like I was, start with 300. Okay. Now, once you've done that, now you know what your surplus is. This is what we call a caloric surplus, which is essentially you take your maintenance, right? The thing that you eat to maintain your weight, and you add 300 on top of that, which is like the ideal bulking range to gain muscle and not too much fat, right? 300 to 500. And then that added together is going to be your caloric surplus. So let's say you're at 2,500 and you added 500 calories, 3,000 is your caloric surplus now. Mine is roughly 3,100 right now, 3,200, and I'm currently 175 to give you some context. 175 to 180. I'm fluctuating between those, okay? Now, Now you know what your surplus is. Okay, boom. It was that simple. Now, okay, Shay, how do I find the foods to be able to eat? Okay, and the best tip I have for this is, first of all, if you want to put on muscle and not fat, the carbs and the fats don't really matter that much. You might think, oh, fats make it so that I put on fat. No, that's not how that really works. You still want fats in your diet because you want to be able to keep like a healthy level of like testosterone production, stuff like that. You also want carbs in your diet because carbs are not bad. I don't know why that even was put on the internet. It baffles me, but they're not bad. No, they're not bad. Carbs are actually really going to help you on a bulk because they can also be very, very like, um, I don't want to say calorically dense, which means like they have a lot of calories, because fats usually have the most calories, right? So you want to add a lot of fats into your diet. But carbs really help because like carbs are like things like rice and pasta, those are things everybody has. And so they have a decent bit of calories in them too. So I would use carbs. Um, so there's no perfect split. Don't lose your mind over, oh my God, I need 30% carbs, 30% fats. You don't even know what that means. Leave that alone, okay? You don't need to be on some extreme diet. The only thing I want you to focus on is protein, okay? Protein. That is the only thing I want you to focus on. Now, let's simplify this, right? Now you have your caloric surplus. Let's say it is 3,000. Now, Shay, how do I split up the proper macronutrient split? Okay. Or whatever nutrients I need, how do I split that up? The first thing you need to worry about if you're trying to put on muscle, the first thing is protein. Okay? That is by far the most heavily under eaten macronutrient there is. Okay? And I want you to keep it simple. I don't care what the science says about how much you can metabolize. Keep this very, very simple. Okay? 1 gram per pound of your current body weight. Okay. So if you are 150, I want you to eat 150 grams of protein. Okay. And how do you do that? The easiest way, honestly, just grab a protein powder. Okay. And no, it is not a steroid. And no, it is not like, you know, sure, you can get it from meats if you really want to, but protein powder, whey protein powder, is just a convenient form of protein. Okay. You put it into a shake, you call it a day. Okay. That's all it is. Okay. Now, now we get into the math of how the protein, right, turns into the calories. So ideally, 1 gram of protein is 4 calories. Okay. So let's say you're having 1 gram per pound of body weight, like you should be, and let's say you are 150, right? You're 150 pounds. That means you should be having 150 grams of protein. If you multiply that by 4, you'll get the calories that you're eating in terms of protein for the day. So 150 times what, 4, right? That's roughly 600. So 600 calories are coming from your protein, roughly speaking. Okay? And now subtract that from 3,000, right? Because that's what we said the wow, I'm getting hella bit out here. That's what we said the caloric surplus was, right? So I want you to take your caloric surplus, right? Okay. Now have that number there. Now I want you to multiply or take your body weight, right? Because you're gonna have 1 gram per pound of body weight. So that's just your body weight is just gonna be the number of grams of protein you're gonna have. Take your body weight and multiply that now by 4. Okay, multiply your body weight by 4. Okay. And now what I want you to do is take that number and subtract it by your caloric surplus. Okay, that'll give you the amount of um, calories that you can backfill with anything. And backfilling is essentially, oh my God, I have ants everywhere, bro. This isn't ideal. Shit. Okay, I'm getting bitten. Hold on. Gotta put my feet up here. Okay, that's how you know what you can backfill with. And backfilling essentially just means like you can eat whatever you want. Okay, you can eat whatever you want for all the rest of your calories. Okay, so that's what that means. So let's use the example I was using. Okay, 3,000 calories is my caloric surplus, 150 pounds is my body weight, 150 times 4 is 600, right? And then 3,000 minus 600 is roughly 2,400. So that'll be like the things I can like eat on the back end, right? And they can be pretty much whatever they need to be. I'm gonna be honest. They can pretty much be whatever. Now, would I say that eating healthier is better? Yes, that is what I do because I want to feel better. I want my skin to look nice. I want to operate on a good level. Because if you fill, let's say, I like using this example. Let's say you'd fill those 2,400 calories with literally broccoli as compared to Takis. One, you're gonna be shitting out fire. One, you're probably gonna feel a lot better, right? Now, you're probably asking, Shay, what are the foods that I can use to actually fill up like 3,000 calories? Okay. Okay. Or specifically, let me split this up. What are the foods that I can use to be able to eat that, like have that high level of protein? And then what are the foods that I can like backfill with if I do want to eat like maybe healthier or maybe I just need food options, right? How do I do that? Okay, sick. Let's go over protein. I'm gonna be honest, protein powder is by far like one of the easiest things. You just scoop it into milk or you scoop it into something you like, you call it a day, you drink it, right? And that's like per scoop, you'll get like 30 grams of protein. Depending on, of course, it depends on like the company and stuff like that, and like how many grams you get. You gotta literally just like grab the the packaging and literally turn it around and you'll see the protein, okay? Because usually we grab the package, we open it, and then we start eating. I want you to this time take another step. You grab the package, you turn it around, and you look at the macronutrients. You look at the protein, it'll tell you the grams on it, okay? It'll tell you how many grams of protein it has. Forget about the percentage, it's the grams that matter, okay? Now, um, yeah, so protein powder, the easiest thing. Now you can also have like any sort of meats or anything like that. Um, a pound of meat I think is roughly what 100 grams of protein, something like that. Or you could try weighing that out as well in grams. So if you take a food scale and you throw the meat on there that you're gonna cook, boom, you could literally just like look at the amount of grams it has in there and you'll know, okay, how much it weighs roughly. I mean, some meat also has like some fat in it and stuff like that, so it's not going to be perfect, but I don't want you to lose your mind over like tracking every specific thing. That's why I say protein powder, like as specific as you can get, and it's very very convenient, just very very easy. Now peanut butter is also a great source. Also peanut butter is very like calorically dense, which means it has a lot of calories, right? It has a lot of calories. That's what we're looking for. Now oats is a kind of weird one because a lot of people eat it to cut, but I eat it to bulk. Okay, because I think it's pretty dense calorie wise. Um, but yeah, and there's a method in which I use to be able to eat that properly as well. So I'm gonna have to go over that as well. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for the protein intake. I would say you could have a lot more like cottage cheese, or you could have Greek yogurt, stuff like that. Just find what you like, find what you enjoy. That's the experimental process. That's the hard part that you have to push past. Once you push past that, it's honestly much easier. Okay, because all you have to do is find the foods that you like and make those several times, and then you know you'll know what has how many calories. Okay. So now, let's talk about the other side. So what do I backfill with, Shay? Now that I know my protein intake, now that I know what I can put my, fill my protein intake up with. Oh my God, bro. So many bugs out here. Jeez. Anyway, well, again, you could do a lot of the things I was talking about. I mostly do milk because I like it. I do oats, like sometimes even dark chocolate chips. Uh, What else? What else? What else? Bananas, fruits. I like doing that stuff, adding that to my shake to add some flavors. Protein powder, hemp seeds, rice, pasta. Really like a lot of things. You could do a lot of things, right? Um and so yeah, you can pretty much backfill with anything. Just majority of you eating whatever you want will have enough fats and carbohydrates to be able to get you started. And people might say, "Oh, this is bad advice. Don't tell them to eat whatever they want." It's like, no, it's decent advice, or at least I think it's decent advice because if you haven't even mastered the first thing of like actually learning how to like track and stuff like that, and actually hitting your macro goal or your protein goal, and or your caloric surplus, then how are you going to be able to overhaul your entire diet? How are you going to say, "Oh, you know what? I can't even track my like it's weird, right? It's like saying it's like in a game saying like I can't even play this character and I can't even build this build, but I'm going to try playing all the other characters and building all the other builds. It's like you're not even good at one thing yet. Stop trying to get good at everything else, right? So get good at that one character, just like you play video games and you get a high rank, right? How do you do that? You play one character and you play them with one build really, really well. I don't care what the people say about like you one trick ponying and stuff like that. That doesn't matter. All I want you to do is play out one character with one build. So same thing here, right? All I want you to do is focus on your protein intake, okay, and getting the protein in. Because honestly, I'm gonna be honest, even though that's a very basic thing, it's probably one of the hardest things. But if you get it down, it's like pretty much the only thing you need to be able to like build muscle like really really properly. Like the basics really matter in terms of building muscle. It's not this advanced like tiny micro stuff that really matters. It's the basics that you learn, that you get really really good at, and you do it for a long amount of time without convincing yourself that you're smarter than you are and that you need to do something else. Okay, so it's just the basics. So protein intake, and then focus on hitting your calories. I don't care. Stop making this mental thing of like, oh, I can't have this or I can't have that. No, right now have what you want. Just hit the goal. Do not stay under the goal, but I don't want you to go hella overboard. Okay, so how I see bulking is this: you never want to be under, you always want to, you can be over your goal sometimes, but you always want to be as close to it as possible. So within like 50 to 100 calories of your within your goal, that's what you need to be at most times. Okay, now, yeah, as long as you focus on your protein intake and your caloric surplus, just hitting those calories, getting that up there. Okay, and again, this is where you go into the experimental phase of like trying new stuff. Now it's like, okay, Shay, like, what if I don't like feel like tracking or whatever it is? I'll be honest here. Look, this is the mentality that I used that actually really, really helped me. Okay. And it's simple. A lot of us actually eat the same meals very, very frequently. Okay. The same, like, I don't know, given 10 meals very, very frequently. Even if you're in a brown household, you're cooking typically like very, very similar curries. Okay. All the time. You're having biryani once a week. Okay. In your household, you're probably also having very, very similar things. Okay. So all you really need to do is track that food once. Now, preferably, of course, you won't have your parents making it for you or anything like that. Um, but if you do, I also understand that. I can also kind of help you out with that as well. But let's assume that, for example, you're cooking your own stuff, right? Or you eat majority of your own stuff and you're in control of what you put in your body. So that's what I'm gonna say, right? All you really have to do is track that food once. And assuming you eat within the same wow, what's happening to my voice? Assuming you eat within the same portions, you can have the same meal because you know the calories to it already. All you had to do was track it once. That's literally what I do, okay? I personally, this is how I think. You either have a bunch of different foods, right? So I want you to think about an example. I want you to think, if I go, imagine going to a restaurant every day and having a different meal without knowing the calories. That's one extreme. But then imagine a side where you're having the similar meals and you know the calories to all of them, right? That's me. I'm more on that extreme. Now I know all of you are not going to be on that extreme, but I'm usually eating very, very similar things every day because I enjoy it. I found what I like eating, and it's good for me. Like I eat 5 eggs in the morning with some fruit, right? And it's relatively cheaper than a lot of the stuff that a lot of us tend to buy, right? So yeah, like you have to eat a lot on a bulk, but it'd be better if one, you could enjoy the bulk, you know, um, and that just makes the whole experience so much better. Because the thing about it is like every time I hear people talking about, oh my God, I'm bulking right now, it feels like a full-time job. Well, yeah, of course, it's gonna feel like one. But to kind of mitigate that, you can try making the process fun, and one of the ways you make it fun is by, you know, um, trying to eat what you actually would enjoy, because the best diet is the one you can adhere to, right? That's the one, that's the best diet. So all I want you to do is, again, keep that protein intake up high and then backfill with anything that you really want. And then as you're getting good at this stuff, you can substitute one meal in, okay, for a whole month. And then the second month, you substitute another meal in, another healthy meal in. And then the third month, you substitute another meal in. Stop trying to do this shit all at once, okay? Yeah, like we have this bad habit sometimes, a lot of us, of thinking that we have to transition from, you know, all uh to nothing to immediately 100% something, right? Oh, like, oh, Shay, I'm gonna end up like eating this thing that I shouldn't be eating anyway, so like might as well not be on the diet. Or it's just kind of stupid. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. So stop doing that. It's all about the 1% progress, and this is the specific advice right now. It's making sense. Like 1% progress, that's what it means. It literally means like you do the same thing, you literally change one or two things about your diet, and you do those until you're so good at them, and then you start changing more. Okay, because chances are your diet is shit already. So improving the protein intake along with improving like the calories is immediately going to help you gain muscle, and immediately going to be better for your diet, because at least you're keeping track of the protein macronutrient. Okay, so yeah, so stop having this limiting belief of like, oh, it's just going to be worse for me. No, it's not. um Secondly, you're gonna give up on it altogether if you try overhauling it immediately. So don't try to do that. Uh, because I've seen it happen too many times. Too many times people relapse and then they feel really, really bad. It's like you don't have to have this bad mentality with all this food. Uh, you don't need to think, oh, it's a carb, it's bad for me. That's just the most BS thing I've ever heard, bro. It doesn't make any sense to me. Same thing with fats. Fats will not make you fat, and that's the beauty of looking at this objectively, right? Because then you don't get emotional about it. That's just how it is. That's what I like about it so much. So yeah, that's honestly just focus on that, and then within a month or two, you can try changing one meal and then two meals and then three meals. Okay, but that's all I want you to do. Now, as for like tracking your parents' food, I know I was on that subject, but I kind of changed it up. Tracking your parents' food, I want you to track the big portions of the meal. So, for example, I want you to track the paratas. Okay, paratas. Okay, typically are the easiest thing to track. Okay, you literally go to the label that you pulled that paratha out of, especially if they're like dawn paratas, right? You take it out and then you track it. It'll literally say the calories on the back per paratha. Okay, it's the easiest thing to track. Same thing with the rice. Just track the rice. Okay, even if it is biryani and it has like masalas and sauces and like all these things within your rice, just track the rice. Just track the rice. That's all that matters. At least you have some way of knowing how much of something you're eating. Okay, and then by default you can assume that it's going to be a little bit more because there's like some curry in this or something like that, right? Same thing with any of y'all that have parents that make your food for you. But in the case that you make your food for yourself, um, just track it once. Just track it once and then have those same portions again. And oh, okay, cool. You added something to it. Okay, let's say you added a tablespoon of peanut butter. Cool. Just add that on top of the existing calories that you already know. All you have to do is track it once. You aren't going out to a restaurant every day, okay? You just aren't. Because if you had the money to be able to do that, at that point you just might as well afford like a chef. You can't go out eating fancy all the time or something like that. At that point you might as well afford a chef or something like that, right? And if I mean, even if you do have a tendency to eat out very, very often, right? All I want you to do is go to a place where you can actually track the food. Okay, go to a place where you can track it. Tell yourself, okay, I usually make myself feel bad about eating fast food, but how about this? How about I go to a place where, okay, it is fast food, so I can negotiate with that part of my brain, but then I just have to track it. I just have to make sure I track it and it fits my calories. Again, that is not ideal. Like, I personally don't eat a lot of fast food as it is. I'm not gonna lie to you, okay? I'm not gonna pretend like that isn't the best option, but you're already, like I said, not good at doing the first thing. That's why you keep quitting. You keep telling yourself, like, oh my God, like I have to do it all or nothing. And then you don't end up taking action because in your mind, like doing all or nothing is like too much work, right? So start simple. Start simple. Don't make this so hard for yourself because honestly, it isn't that hard for me. I eat the same thing and I don't have to feel like I actually have to track it because I know my macros. I know my macros and I know my protein goal and I hit it effortlessly every day because I have the same set of meals that I eat and I make them in the same portions and everything, and it just makes it easy. Now, what makes that specifically easier though? Like, what is the specific key thing that really helped me? And it's again those staple meals. So I call them staple meals. I don't know if there's a word for them, but like having the same meals that you've already tracked, that you can eat on a consistent basis are staple meals. Okay, so those really help because they kind of anchor your diet. Because if you have at least one of those meals within your diet, you know that, okay, as long as I have this, I'm good on that. Like, for example, a protein shake, right? A protein shake is in some ways an anchor meal or a staple meal, sorry, or a staple snack, whatever the hell you want to call it, a staple drink. It helps because you know you're getting your protein intake in for that day, okay? The second thing is I got this from the gym actually, which is something called progressive overload. Now I know if a lot of you are beginners, that sounds like a really big and fancy word, okay? Progressive overload just basically means upping the stimulus. Or if you don't understand that either, it just means like making the exercise harder, either in reps, which is like how many repetitions of the exercise you do, or in weight or in other ways, right? So that's what that means. So I thought, okay, wait, how do I apply this concept of adding more stimulus to my diet? And it was simple. I took the pre-existing meals instead of having 6 meals like a lot of these influencers do, and you know, I don't know how they find the time to work. I don't know how they find the time to do anything because I feel like you always have to be in the kitchen if you're cooking like 6 meals a day. I don't have to do that, and I eat 3K calories a day, like 3K to 3,500, right? So I don't know, like if you're around that range, you can definitely do this, but I want you to take your pre-existing meals and find a way to bump them up to 1,000 calories. Progressively overload your meals. Okay? This really helped me because what it did was I was already good at cooking the meals that I was good at cooking because I already knew how to and I had been doing it for a while. And what it did was it changed up the flavor to the meals that I was eating because I had to add more calories. So not only did I add more calories to the same meal that I know how to cook, right? And because of that, I cook it faster, I cook it with efficiency, right? But also on top of that, I changed its flavor and hopefully for the better. Okay, if it makes it worse, then it's like, okay, it might not be worth it because in the long term you're not going to be able to sustain it. Okay. If it's really that unbearable, if it's not too unbearable, okay, I'd keep it, right? um but otherwise I just replace it with something that you actually find enjoyable. Like, I don't know, like for example, let me give you a very niche example. I used to make an egg burger, right? And long story short, I got rid of that meal for now because like I have my reasons for that, which is why I'll explain. I have more like productivity reasons for my diet, right? But essentially I had an egg burger. And so I just put eggs in it with some sriracha and some toast, okay? That's what I found enjoyable. Now, a lot of you find that absolutely abhorrent and disgusting. Fine, perfectly fine. You're not going to like the meals I eat. I'm not going to like the meals you eat. It's that simple. But to progressively overload that meal, I added cheese to it. That's it. That's all I did. I would add cheese to it. And then to bump it up to like as close to 1,000 calories as I could, I would add a whole bunch of different stuff. I forgot what it was, but I think at a point it was like 2 pieces of cheese. I would definitely add something else to it. I forgot what it was though. It was bread, so like that's 140. 7 times 4, 280. I think at some point I might have even added like, I can't remember. But yeah, I was able to bump. I'm gonna have to look at my recipe on MyFitnessPal, but I was able to bump that up to like 800 calories for a burger, and it was crazy. And I was like, I already know how to make this, and now I just made it taste better and added more calories. Wow, great. So that's a great way to be able to bulk. Another way is adding olive oil to your meals, okay? So a lot of my brown folks are familiar with this, but instead y'all add canola. I would highly recommend adding olive oil. It's just better for you, right? Just add olive oil to your stuff. Like, I know this is going to sound disgusting, but hear me out. Buy an olive oil that doesn't have a strong taste and add a tablespoon of it, which is not a lot, by the way. Like, it doesn't look like a lot, but it packs a lot of calories. It has 120 calories per tablespoon. And you put that in one of your drinks, like your protein shake, dude, you're not even going to taste it. The blender is going to be easier to clean. And you just added a free 120 calories. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. Olive oil is a huge hack. But assuming that you have gotten your protein intake in already, okay? So, again, to fight off the limiting beliefs, use staple meals. Use, you know, uh, progressive overload in terms of bump up your meals as close to 1,000 calories as you can. So that means that if you have 3 meals that you can find, that you could bump up to 1,000 calories, that's 3,000 calories a day. But forget meals. Meals are hard to eat sometimes. How about you do liquid calories? And that's a fancy way of just saying like drink your calories because they're easier to down. So add stuff to that protein shake. Like a good base for your protein shake, I would recommend, especially if you're bulking, is milk instead of water because Water doesn't have calories, milk does. And in my opinion, it just tastes way better. Honestly, it just tastes way better with milk. Water is abhorrent, uh, especially with some protein powders. Geez, I would not do that to myself. I would add it to milk. Like if you want to suffer, go ahead. Okay, but for those of us who actually like to eat stuff and enjoy it, right, too, I would actually, add it in the milk. And then you can, if you can afford it, add another scoop of protein powder. I only use one these days because that shit is expensive. But yeah, um, yeah, add that, and then add some olive oil, and then add whatever you like to the stack. Maybe you like berries. Add berries. I really like berries. I like adding them. Add bananas. I found I really like bananas in my shakes. Blend it together. Like experiment. Have fun with this. This doesn't need to be something that's so. Oh my god, I'm bulking. Oh my god, this that, bro. It's make it fun. Come on. Like this does not need to be boring. But yeah, that would be like my biggest ways. So that's like the whole process of like how to count your calories and what happens through that. Now, like if you need an app to be able to do that, I would recommend MyFitnessPal. I don't think it has like the scan the barcode thing anymore, but MyFitnessPal will still help you track your calories. So I would recommend downloading that app because I don't think it has that feature like my clients have it on my app where you can like scan the barcode and it'll just give you the calories, which is really really nice. But yeah, I think MyFitnessPal still works really really well, so I'd recommend it. Also, I wouldn't really recommend AI calorie calculators because they're not the most accurate, but you could go ahead and try it if you make something and you like track the macros for it, and then like you use the AI calculator, calorie calculator to see like, oh my god, like is it tracking it right? And it does it. Okay, maybe you could use it. I haven't tried it personally, so I don't really recommend it. But yeah, try that out. And honestly, that's pretty much all I had for this video. I know it was a bit of a longer video, but I kind of needed you to understand like break down the beliefs and break down how you go about doing this, right? So yeah, that's pretty much it. And I would recommend checking out again that link if you do feel like there's a journey that you would like to have a sense of community and interact with people, and then be able to also play video games and watch anime with them because we do anime watch parties and we do video game stuff and all that. I'm also in the process of building a lot of stuff within the community to help out with like fitness goals and stuff like that, and for people to be able to be like share and be like really involved in the community. So yeah, go check it out, completely free. First link in the description. But yeah, that's I'm gonna head out here. I got ants biting me and everything. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got. All right, y'all. So peace. Take it easy.